Hi everyone, welcome to Unicorn Dust Designs. Today I wanted to show you how I took $10 worth of plywood from the hardware store and I'm going to turn it into $150 worth of profit. Yes, you heard me right. So I cannot wait to show you how to create this. So I had these scrap pieces of plywood from when we built our garage shelves. They're about 24 by 24 inches. So these are huge. We're going to do 2 of these. I sanded it with about 60 grit sandpaper because this is like the roughest of rough plywood, and then 220 grit. We're going to use vintage pink and vintage mint paint by JRV Cottage Colors. I do have some of these currently in stock on my website, so go grab some. Okay, so we're going to start with the vintage pink. Now, I will say, you guys, the JRV Cottage Colors have a built-in top coat to them. So you do need to stir these before using to mix all of that goodness together. I'm then going to pour it into a bowl and I'm going to use my Smoothie DIY brush. Y'all, if you guys have a big surface to cover, this brush is nice and wide. It carries a lot of paint and it leaves minimal brush strokes. And I have all the brushes back in stock right now and get them while they're at the lower price. So I'm going to cover this and you can see this pink, it's kind of hard to see, but it's almost like a peachy pink color. It's absolutely gorgeous. You'll see it better in the reveal video. I do the sides as well. Then I'm going to take vintage mint. Now, initially I was only going to do one, but I couldn't make up my mind on what color to use. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make my own version of this and we're going to do 2 sides to this. So for this 24 by 24 piece, I'm going to use the multitasker brush. And this was my first time using it and I'm obsessed. If you do larger pieces, especially furniture, you want this in your stash. It covered so much. You can see how much paint I'm getting out of the brush before I am actually going back into the bowl. So I was super impressed by this brush. I'm going to paint the entire thing and the sides. I do not paint the backs because it has a nice wood finish. Then I'm going to take my 220 grit sandpaper and I'm going to sand around the edges and you'll see why later. Here's kind of a close-up just of that sanding. And you guys, I wanted to mention that today is Try It Tuesday, where we try other people's creations and we give them credit. So today I wanted to shout out Weathered Wings Art. This is Joni, and she created this beautiful piece which inspired me to do the same. It was so bold and beautiful. I loved the colors. She is on Facebook and she also does have a YouTube channel. I will make sure to leave her link down in the description box. We also have a playlist link and other creators have joined me today. So make sure to check that out as well. And thank you, Joni, for this beautiful inspiration. Now we're going to go into the Desperado IOD transfers. And you know, I haven't really dabbled in this one until now, and I think I've made a rolling pin with it. So what I'm doing is I'm putting out my measuring tape. It was 24 inches. I'm marking the center point of my transfer. It has grids on it, which makes it easy to measure. And I'm making sure the middle of my transfer is in line with the middle of my plywood. Now I'm going to take my carrier sheet off and we are going to lay that on there. You just want to make sure that you find your right position because I am with that vintage mint one. I want them to be side by side and line up perfectly together because in this Desperado pack, there's 2 of these images and they are side by side. So I'm going to press that down. I'm going to get the plastic scraper tool that comes with all of the IOD transfers. And I like to lift my carrier sheet as I am scraping the image down. This, I feel like, helps the image release from the carrier sheet and go on to your piece a lot more smoothly. It also lets me know if I need to put back down my carrier sheet to press a little harder to get that image off. Now, this already has a built-in sealer, the paint. So I did not have to put any kind of top coat before doing this transfer. And to be honest, I don't usually do that. So to each their own. After I am done with this, I am going to take that carrier sheet, the matte side of it, and I'm going to burnish my transfer into my plywood. And this is going to ensure that you don't have any piece of your transfer sticking up or flaking off, and it's going to push it down and keep it where it needs to be. Now we're going to go back into that Desperado book and we are going to get these trimmings. They have tons of them and there's 2 sheets of these. So I was able to carry the trimming all the way across the bottom of this sign. So Joni used quite a few in hers. I'm just going to use one and I'm going to put it on the bottom of this. Now I did overlap the second one and I kind of regret doing that, because you can kind of see it. So what I should have done was just butt it up next to each other as closely as I could and then rubbed down on it instead of overlapping. So you could see right here, I like overlapped it and you can see because it's like darker where I overlapped. You see it right there? It almost looks like a line. I didn't like that, but you know what? I made it work. So now I'm going to take, this is the Whispering Willows transfer, and you can make these your own, you guys. Just because they come in one format doesn't mean you can't cut them up and make them work for you. So I'm going to cut the like green little stems off of this transfer, and this transfer laid so beautifully on this. It was perfection. So you could see I'm also using different floral arrangement than Joni did. She used another transfer, not sure which one it was, but she does have a video on it. And then there was like a little hole in between the 2 bottom flowers. So I grabbed one of the little berries and I'm going to lay that down. I just layered it on top. You can do that with the transfers too. And again, you're going to burnish that into there. Now, those sanded parts around the edge, I did the same thing to both signs, okay? I'm going to take Dark and Decrepit liquid patina and I'm going to rub that along those sanded areas. This is going to create a more rustic look for me. It's going to create kind of like a shadowy effect, and it was just what I needed to make it my own. You guys know most of the time I don't like very clean lines. I like it to be a little bit more rustic, a little bit more natural. So this was the perfect little added detail to my sign. So I do that all the way around. And then I'm going to, like I said, do basically the same thing to the vintage mint one. However, I just want to know, make sure if you are doing a doubled up sign like this, that you pay attention to where your wood grains are, your knots are. So you could see on this one, there's tons of knots over to my right side if you're looking at the screen. And I wanted those to show because I wanted the rustic look. So I made sure those were on the right side. I also want to know I only did 1 coat of paint on each of these. I liked how the plywood was sucking it up and it was darker in some spots, lighter in some spots, so you could see the wood grain come through, which I loved. All right, so you guys, after you are done with your transfers, I am now going to get my DIY clear wax and I am going to seal this. Now, the paint has a built-in sealer, so I'm not doing it to seal the paint, I'm doing it to seal my transfer in. So I'm going to do the entire top and then I just wipe it back with a paper towel. Now, I'm going to add a hanger. So I am going to find my middle point. I'm going to get my D-hooks. These are on my Amazon store link down in the description box. And I am going to place that 12 inches in. Now, I didn't feel necessary to put 2 D-hooks on here because this is very light. It is not heavy at all. And we are going to screw that in. And then for the second one, because I would want them to hang side by side, I made sure to measure how far down I put the first one so that they line up when it is hung. And that's it, you guys. So we turned this $10 to $10 piece, not two, it was $10 total pieces of plywood into a $150 profit, because now I could sell these signs for $79.95 each in my booth or on my website. So actually I would say like $140, because also the products that I use, and that doesn't even count my time. So if this was a great way of taking scrap wood in my garage and making an absolutely beautiful piece. And to be honest, you guys, I'm not going to even sell it. I think I'm going to keep this, and it will be a part of Montgomery's room, because I just absolutely fell in love with it. So thank you all for watching. I hope it inspired you, and make sure to check out the playlist and Joni's page down in the description box. I'll be back on Thursday for Thrifted Thursday. Make sure to like, subscribe.